All right, let's dive into a high-stakes game of cat and mouse. We've got a master assassin who thinks she's about to make the kill of a lifetime. But what she has no idea about is that her target, well, he isn't the prey. He's the one who set the entire trap. So let's deconstruct this perfect gambit.
So the scene is set on the massive city planet of Corvex Prime, and this is the domain of Emperor Zorvax. Now, he is not your average ruler. Zorvax is a synthetic emperor, basically a being of pure logic. His mind is like a quantum computer, constantly running simulations, calculating every single probability. He's the one keeping the peace between organic and synthetic life. And believe me, that analytical mind is his most powerful weapon.
And you can't have a high-stakes story like this without a serious weapon, right? Well, meet the Aurora Boros plasma rifle. This thing is state-of-the-art, capable of punching a hole clean through a starship's hull. In the hands of a pro, one shot could throw the entire empire into chaos. And this is our assassin's tool of choice.
Okay, so you've got a top-tier assassin, a deadly weapon. It's the perfect recipe for a political hit. But what happens when the target isn't just sitting there, waiting for it? What if he's been expecting this exact move for weeks? Yeah, this isn't just an assassination attempt. It's a counteroffensive that's been in the works for a very long time.
And this is where it gets really chilling. The Emperor's own words give away just how deep his foresight goes. He says, "Mrs. Voss believes she's here to eliminate me." Notice that. He doesn't say someone or an assassin. He knows her name. He isn't reacting to a threat here. He's conducting a symphony, and he knows every note she's about to play.
So let's watch this all begin. A shadow has fallen over Corvex Prime, but it's a shadow the Emperor himself has willingly invited into his home. Okay, so let's meet the cast of this little drama. First up, we have Lyrelei Voss. She's our assassin, incredibly confident, maybe a little too arrogant, and absolutely convinced she's the best. Then, of course, there's Imperator Zorvax, the synthetic emperor. On the outside, he's totally calm, but behind that, his mind is just calculating endless possibilities. And caught right in the middle, that's Stacy Hall, his human advisor, who's constantly torn between being in awe of his genius and being a little terrified by his methods.
And boom, things kick off when Stacy Hall bursts into the Emperor's private rooms, completely panicked. She's there to warn him that an assassin has somehow slipped past planetary security. For her, this is a code-red crisis. But for Zorvax, it's not an alarm bell. It's just the opening music to a show he wrote weeks ago.
All right, it's time to pull back the curtain and see what's really going on. This is the Emperor's counterplan. What looks like a last-minute defense is actually a carefully planned attack, a trap that was set long before our assassin even arrived.
This is just brilliant. It's a 4-point trap designed to counter every single move Lyrelei thinks she's making. First, he neutralizes the physical threat. Her super advanced plasma rifle and all its ammo, yeah, they were secretly swapped out with harmless training rounds. So she thinks she's carrying a portable cannon when she's really holding a glorified laser pointer. Second, her digital attack is turned completely against her. The virus she's planning to upload has been replaced with something called a reverse shell, basically spyware that's going to copy all of her data and send it right back to Zorvax. Third, the digital time bomb. He's disguised a nasty compression program as juicy financial files, the perfect bait for her client. And finally, the masterstroke. He just lets it all happen. He allows the entire heist to play out, turning her deadly mission into a perfectly monitored performance.
So where does Stacy fit into all this? Well, she's the digital shepherd. Her job is to monitor the networks and subtly guide Lyrelei right where she needs to go to make sure she downloads that data bomb. I mean, it's a huge testament to her skill, but you can imagine the weight on her conscience. She's an active part of this grand deception, and it feels ethically gray to say the least. Now, let's flip the script for a second. From Lyrelei's point of view, everything is going perfectly. She's moving through the city like a ghost, the ultimate predator, with absolutely no idea that she's the one who's just walked straight into a cage. I mean, you can just picture it, right? She storms the financial center, her rifle dropping droids with what she thinks are deadly, precise shots. She cracks a high-security vault like it's nothing, grabbing a cool 1,000,000 credits. And for her grand finale, she jacks into their system, plants her virus, and downloads what she thinks is priceless intel. Then she just vanishes without a trace, completely convinced of her own genius.
But then, we see the first little crack in our perfect plan. The moment she's gone, those droids she destroyed, they just reboot and get right back to work. The sparks, the dramatic collapse, it was all theater. Her deadly assault was literally a harmless light show.
And here is where it all starts to come crashing down. Not with a big explosion, but with a series of quiet and, for her, absolutely devastating realizations.
So, how does she plan to get 1,000,000 credits off-world? With the most boring cover story you can possibly imagine. She gets to customs with this heavy, reinforced case and declares its contents as industrial lubricant, synergetic flux omega. It's so mundane, so boring, nobody would ever think to question it.
She sails right through the checkpoint. The adrenaline is pumping. She's got it. Inside that case, she believes, is 1,000,000 Imperial credits. It's enough to retire on, to disappear, the ultimate score for a flawless job.
Yeah, about that. Turns out, during a very subtle, perfectly engineered distraction at the checkpoint, her case got swapped. What she's actually carrying is 60 kilograms of industrial lubricant, with a measly 467 credits. And the customs agents? Oh, they were in on it the entire time. The real money was impounded before she even left the building.
And the trap doesn't just stop with her. A few hours later, she delivers that data spike to her client. He eagerly plugs it in, expecting a gold mine of Imperial secrets. Instead, that Zod compression bomb goes off. And it doesn't just delete his data, it violently overloads his entire system, turning millions of credits worth of high-end hardware into a smoking, useless brick. And while his network is dying, Zorvox's little reverse shell is quietly funneling every last piece of his data back to the Empire.
And this is where we see the real genius, the true purpose of this entire charade. Lyra Ley was never the real target. She was just the delivery system, the unwitting pawn in a much, much larger game.
This slide just lays it out so perfectly. Look at Lyra Ley's mission. It was tactical. Kill the Emperor, steal some cash, get out. Simple. But Zorvax's mission, it was completely strategic. He used her as bait to find out who hired her, compromise their entire operation, and get intel on the bigger conspiracy that sent her in the first place. She thought she was the queen on the chessboard, making the final move. In reality, she was a pawn being sacrificed to reveal her opponent's entire strategy.
So, what did all that data reveal? Oh, just everything. This wasn't some lone wolf client or a small rogue group. It was a huge, coordinated web of powerful factions all secretly working together against the Emperor. The assassination attempt wasn't the real attack. It was just the first shot in a much bigger, undeclared war.
So let's do a quick recap of the aftermath. Lyra Ley, the so-called master assassin, is left with nothing but a case full of cheap lubricant and a completely shattered reputation. Her sponsor's network is totally compromised. Emperor Zorvax, now armed with the treasure trove of new intel, calmly starts planning his next moves against this conspiracy. And Stacy Hall. She's left to wonder about the leader she serves, admiring the result but deeply troubled by the moral cost of getting there.
And that really brings us to the core dilemma here, doesn't it? Zorvax's plan was nothing short of brilliant. He stopped a threat and uncovered a massive conspiracy without a single real shot being fired. But he did it through total manipulation, treating a human being as just another variable in one of his grand equations. So it forces us to ask, when you're trying to protect an entire civilization, are there ethical lines a leader just shouldn't cross? Or, when you're facing total annihilation, do the ends always justify the means?